There is a dimension of transformation that begins when the body is resting, but the spirit is still listening. Tonight, as you lay down and close your eyes, understand this: your sleep is not just a time of rest, it is a sacred moment of renewal, alignment, and divine reprogramming. While the world becomes quiet and the noise fades away, something powerful is happening within you. Because the mind may sleep, but the spirit never truly sleeps. As these words flow into the atmosphere around you, every negative thought that once lived in your mind is being replaced with strength, clarity, and purpose. Every doubt that once whispered in your ear is losing its power. Every fear that once controlled your decisions is dissolving. Tonight, you are not just sleeping, you are resetting, you are becoming. Your mind is learning peace, your heart is learning courage, your spirit is remembering who you truly are. There were moments when you felt tired, moments when you wondered if things would ever change, moments when it seemed like the weight of life was heavier than your strength. Those moments did not come to destroy you, they came to reveal the greatness hidden inside you. Because diamonds are not formed in comfort, they are formed under pressure. And every challenge you have faced has been shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, and more powerful than you have ever been before. To dig Zen, tonight while you sleep, your mind is being trained to believe again. Believe in possibilities, believe in growth, believe in the unseen doors that are already opening for you. There are opportunities coming into your life that you cannot yet see. There are connections forming that will change your future. That are answers already on their way to you. Even now, the seeds of success are being planted in the deep soil of your subconscious. And when morning comes, something inside you will feel different. A new calm, a quiet confidence that says, I am ready. Because greatness does not arrive suddenly. It grows silently in the hidden places, just like a seed grows underground before anyone ever sees the tree. And tonight, the roots of your future are growing deeper. Your mind is releasing the past. Your heart is forgiving what needs to be forgiven. Your soul is stepping into the person you are always meant to become. You are not behind in life. You are not forgotten. You are not lost. You are being prepared. Prepared for a future greater than your past. Prepared for opportunities bigger than your fears. Prepared for a life that reflects the strength inside you. As you sleep tonight, peace surrounds you, no anxiety, no stress, no confusion, only calm, only clarity, only restoration. Your body relaxes, your breathing becomes slow and gentle. Every muscle releases tension. Your mind becomes quiet like a still lake under the night sky. And in that stillness, wisdom begins to grow, strength begins to rise, purpose begins to awaken. You are stronger than every obstacle that once stood in your path. You are wiser than the mistakes that once tried to define you. And you are capable of creating a future more beautiful than anything you have imagined. The night is not ordinary. Tonight is a moment of preparation. Because when the sun rises again, you will wake up with new energy, new focus, and new determination. The world may not immediately see the change, but you want inside you a steady confidence, a deep knowing that something good is unfolding in your life. So rest now, rest deeply. Let these words settle into your mind like seeds of strength. And as the night continues, remember this truth: your story is not over. Your purpose is still unfolding, and the best chapters of your life are still ahead of you. Sleep in peace, sleep in strength, sleep in the certainty that tomorrow carries new beginnings. There's the mystery in the quiet hours of the night that many people overlook. When the body becomes still and the world around you slows down, something powerful begins to happen within you. Sleep is often seen as a simple biological necessity, a moment when the body shuts down to regain physical energy. But there is more happening beneath the surface than what the eyes can see. When you lie down and allow your body to rest, your mind does not completely shut off. In fact, another kind of activity begins a deeper and more subtle process that shapes who you are becoming. As the night grows quiet and your breathing becomes calm, your mind enters a different state of awareness. The conscious part of your mind, the part that worries about problems, analyzes situations, and carries the stress of the day, slowly begins to fade into silence. But the deeper part of you, the place where beliefs are formed and identity is shaped, remains open and active. This is the place where seeds of thought are planted, where ideas take root, and where the direction of your life quietly begins to shift. Many people underestimate the power of this moment. They think that once they fall asleep, nothing meaningful is happening due. Yet the truth is that the mind continues to listen, continues to receive, and continues to process. Words spoken in the atmosphere around you during these quiet hours can travel beyond the surface of your thinking and reach the deeper layers of your consciousness. And when those words carry strength, peace, and hope, they begin to create a silent transformation inside you. Think about the way a seed grows in the ground. When a seed is planted, nothing seems to happen on the surface. Days may pass and the soil appears unchanged. But beneath the ground, something extraordinary is taking place. The seed is absorbing nutrients, developing roots, and preparing for the moment when it will break through the surface and become visible. Growth begins long before it can be seen. The same principle applies to the human mind. The thoughts you receive during moments of deep rest are like seeds being planted in fertile soil. They settle into the subconscious, where they slowly begin to influence how you see yourself, how you respond to challenges, and how you approach the future. So, even when you are unaware of it, the mind is learning, adapting, and forming new patterns. There are many voices that attempt to shape the way people think. Throughout the day, you may hear words of doubt, criticism, fear, or discouragement. Fear or discouragement. These voices can leave marks on the mind, sometimes without you even realizing it. Over time, they can create internal narratives that weaken confidence and limit potential. But the quiet hours of sleep provide an opportunity to rewrite those narratives. When positive words fill the atmosphere around you, your sleep, they begin to counteract the negative messages that may have taken root in your mind. Words of strength begin to replace thoughts of weakness. Words of courage begin to challenge fear. Words of peace begin to quiet anxiety. Slowly, gently, the mind begins to realign itself with healthier and more empowering beliefs. Your mind is far more receptive than you might imagine during sleep. The barriers that normally filter information begin to relax. The conscious mind, which often questions and resists new ideas, becomes less active. This allows encouraging the conscious to move deeper into your awareness. It is as if the mind opens a door that is usually guarded during waking hours. This is why the environment you create around your sleep matters more than most people realize. The sounds you allow into your space, the words that fill the room, and the atmosphere you surround yourself with all contribute to the shaping of your internal world. Just as a plant grows towards sunlight, the human mind grows toward the ideas it repeatedly encounters. Imagine spending night after night in an environment where the air is filled with messages of peace, strength, and hope. Imagine your mind hearing reminders that you are capable, that your future holds possibilities, that challenges can be overcome, and that growth is always possible. To accumulate over time, they begin to settle into the deeper layers of your thinking, gradually reshaping the way you interpret life. Fear, for example, often grows through repetition. When the mind repeatedly hears messages that emphasize danger, fear begins to strengthen its hold. But fear can also be weakened through repetition in the opposite direction. And when the mind is consistently exposed to words of reassurance and confidence, it begins to recognize new possibilities. The inner voice that once spoke doubt begins to lose its authority. Peace works in a similar way. Many people carry stress and tension from the events of the day. Problems, responsibilities, and worries can follow them into the night, making it difficult to truly rest. But when the mind is gently guided toward calm and reassurance, it begins to release that tension. The body responds by relaxing, breathing becomes deeper, and the entire system begins to restore itself. Confidence is not always built through dramatic moments of success. Often it grows through quiet reinfo. It grows when the mind repeatedly hears that progress is possible, that setbacks do not define the future, and that inner strength is always present. Over time, these messages begin to form a new internal foundation. A person who once felt uncertain begins to carry a quiet sense of stability. This transformation does not require effort in the way many other forms of change do. During the day, personal growth can sometimes feel like a struggle. It may require discipline, focus, and conscious decision making, but the transformation that occurs during rest is gentle. It unfolds naturally without pressure or strain. The mind absorbs what it hears and slowly integrates those ideas into its structure. Night after night, the mind continues its quiet work. Old patterns of thinking gradually loosen their grip. But new patterns begin to emerge. The person who once woke up with heavy thoughts may begin to experience a sense of clarity in the morning. The individual who carried constant anxiety may start to notice moments of unexpected calm. The one who doubted their abilities may begin to feel a quiet belief growing inside them. This is the beauty of transformation that happens in rest. It does not rely on force or urgency. It happens in the stillness, in the silence, in the moments when the world is asleep and the mind is free to rebuild itself without distraction. Your mind is always learning, even when you are not consciously paying attention. It is gathering information and forming connections. The thoughts that surround you during sleep become part of this learning process. They help determine the emotional tone with which you greet the morning. They influence the attitude you carry into the day ahead. Imagine waking up after a night where your mind has been gently reminded of your worth, your potential, and your resilience, instead of beginning the day with stray seeds or hesitation. You may feel a quiet sense of readiness. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by challenges, you may approach them with curiosity and determination. This shift does not always happen overnight, but with consistency, it becomes more noticeable. Transformation that occurs in rest is powerful because it works with the natural rhythms of the mind. It respects the way human consciousness is designed to process information. Just as the body heals itself during sleep, the mind also heals and reorganizes itself. It sorts through memories, strengthens useful patterns, and releases what is no longer needed. When positive and encouraging messages are present during this process, they become part of the mind's reorganization. They help guide the direction of that internal rebuilding. They act as gentle instructions that encourage the mind to move toward healthier and more empowering ways of thinking. Over time, these subtle changes accumulate. They influence the way you respond to difficulties and the way you imagine your future. What begins as quiet words in the night slowly becomes a new internal voice, one that supports growth rather than limitation. The transformation may not always be dramatic or immediate, but it is real. It is the kind of change that grows steadily like a tree developing strong roots beneath the soil. And once those roots are established, they support a life that is more resilient, more peaceful, and more confident. So when you allow yourself to rest, remember that the stillness of sleep is not empty or wasted time, and it is a moment when the deeper parts of your mind are active and receptive. It is a moment when new beliefs can take root and when the foundations of your future can quietly begin to form. In the silence of the night, while the body rests and the world grows quiet, the mind continues to listen. It continues to learn and continues to become. There is a part of the human mind that most people rarely think about. Yet it quietly influences almost every decision they make, every emotion they feel, and every direction their life takes. It is deeper than your everyday thoughts and more powerful than the voice you hear when you consciously reason through problems. This deeper part is the place where beliefs are stored, habits are formed, and identity is shaped. It is the silent engine that drives your behavior, often without asking for your permission. Many people spend their lives trying to change their circumstances on the outside while never realizing that the greatest influence on their future lies within their own mind. Beneath the surface of conscious awareness lies a vast inner world where ideas are accepted, repeated, and eventually turned into reality. This inner world does not argue, it does not debate, and it does not analyze things the way the conscious mind does. Instead, it absorbs what it hears, what it sees, and what it experiences, and then it begins to shape the way you think and act. During the day, the conscious mind is active and alert. It questions information, filters ideas, and decides what to accept or reject. But when night comes and the body begins to relax, the conscious mind slowly steps back. As you drift into sleep, the guard at the gate of your thoughts becomes quiet and the deeper mind becomes more open and receptive. This is why the environment around your sleep matters more than many people realize. When the world grows quiet and you begin to rest, your mind does not simply shut down. In many ways, it becomes even more active beneath the surface. While the body restores itself physically, the deeper mind continues to process information, organize memories, and strengthen patterns of thinking. It is like a powerful system running silently in the background, arranging and reinforcing the beliefs that guide your life. Think about how habits are formed. No one wakes up one morning with a habit fully developed. Instead, habits are created through repetition. A thought is repeated enough times that it begins to feel natural. An action is repeated enough times that it becomes automatic. Eventually, the mind accepts that pattern as part of your identity. What began as something small slowly becomes something permanent. The same process happens with beliefs. When a message is repeated often enough, the deeper mind begins to treat it as truth. It does not matter whether that message is encouraging or discouraging. The mind simply recognizes repetition and consistency. Over time, what you hear again and again becomes the voice that guides your thinking. This is why the messages that reach your mind during sleep can be so influential. When the conscious mind is resting, the deeper mind becomes more attentive to the environment around it. The words that enter your space during those quiet hours banners and settle into the deeper layers where beliefs are formed. Imagine a person who constantly hears messages of doubt during the day. They are told that success is difficult, that their dreams are unrealistic, or that their abilities are limited. Even if they try to remain positive, those messages can slowly begin to affect how they see themselves. The deeper mind stores those ideas, and over time, they begin to shape the person's expectations and decisions. But the opposite is also true. When the mind repeatedly hears messages that encourage courage, possibility, and growth, a different pattern begins to develop. Instead of reinforcing fear, the mind begins to strengthen confidence. Instead of expecting failure, it begins to anticipate progress. Placed as permanent barriers, it begins to see them as challenges that can be overcome. Your deeper mind is like fertile soil. Whether it is your pain to grow, if seeds of doubt are planted in it will velour, doubt will grow. If seeds of fear are planted repeatedly, fear will grow. But if someone whether it is your pain to grow as well, this is why repetition has such extraordinary power. When you hear something once, it may pass through your mind and disappear. But when you hear the same message again and again, the mind begins to pay attention. It begins to recognize that this information might be important. Gradually, it moves that information from the surface of awareness into the deeper system that guides behavior. Many of the things people believe about themselves today were formed through this exact process. At some point in their lives, certain ideas were repeated often enough that they became internal truths. Perhaps someone repeatedly heard that they were capable and intelligent, and as a result, they developed confidence in their abilities. Another person may have repeatedly heard criticism or discouragement, and those messages slowly shaped a different self image. But one of the most powerful realizations a person can have is that these internal patterns are not fixed forever. The deeper mind can be retrained, just as beliefs were formed through repetition in the past, new beliefs can be formed through repetition in the present. The mind remains flexible and capable of growth throughout life. When you consistently surround yourself with messages that encourage strength and purpose, the deeper mind begins to adjust its expectations. The internal voice that once spoke limitation begins to lose its authority. A new voice begins to emerge, one that reminds you of your potent. It's not encourages you to move forward. This transformation often begins quietly. At first, the changes may be subtle. A person may notice that they feel slightly calmer in situations that once caused anxiety. They may notice that they hesitate less when facing opportunities. They may find themselves thinking in ways that are more constructive and hopeful. Over time, these small shifts begin to influence behavior. Confidence leads to action. Courage leads to new experiences. Purpose leads to persistence even when challenges arise. The deeper mind begins to guide decisions in a direction that supports growth rather than fear. Your deeper mind does not only influence what you think. When the mind is trained to expect possibility, it becomes more aware of opportunities. It begins to recognize patterns and connections that may have been overlooked before. A person who believes that growth is possible will naturally look for ways to improve and move forward. In the same way, when the mind is trained toward courage, it responds differently to uncertainty. Instead of immediately retreating from difficulty, it begins to approach challenges with curiosity and determination. Internal narrative shifts from asking, "What if I fail?" to asking, "What can I learn from this experience?" Purpose also grows through this process. Many people search for purpose as if it was something hidden far away. But purpose often begins as a quiet sense of direction within the mind. When the deeper mind repeatedly hears messages that emphasize meaning, contribution, and growth, it begins to align your thoughts and actions toward those values. The deeper mind begins to guide you toward choices that reflect the kind of person you are becoming. It encourages discipline where there was once hesitation. It is bias persistence where there was once doubt. It reminds you that your actions today are building the future you will experience tomorrow. Night after night, the mind continues this quiet work. While the body rests, the deeper mind reviews experiences, strengthens useful patterns, and absorbs the messages that surround it. It is like a powerful system constantly updating itself based on the information it receives. What you allow into your environment during these hours becomes part of that process. Encouraging messages, peaceful words, and reminders of your potential act as instructions for the deeper mind. They tell it which qualities to strengthen and which beliefs to reinforce. Gradually, the transformation becomes visible in everyday life. The person who once doubted themselves begins to carry quiet confidence. The one who once feared taking risks begins to step forward with courage. The individual who once felt lost begins to move with a clearer sense of direction. All of this begins in the invisible world of the mind long before the results appear on the surface. Just as a tree grows from roots hidden beneath the ground, personal growth begins in the deeper layers of consciousness before it becomes visible in actions and achievements. Your deeper mind is always listening, always learning, and always shaping the direction of your life. Every repeated message becomes a potential seed. Every consistent idea becomes a potential belief. And every belief eventually influences the way you think, the way you act, and the way you move through the world. When those messages are filled with courage, purpose, and possibility, they become the foundation of a stronger and more focused mind. Over time, the person you become begins to reflect the ideas that have taken root within you. The transformation may begin quietly, but its impact can reach every part of your life. There is something powerful about the quiet hours of the night, moments when the world slows down and the noise of the day fades into silence. During those hours when the body is resting and the eyes are closed, the mind begins a process that prepares you for the life waiting for you when morning arrives. Sleep is not merely an escape from the activities of the day. It is a time of preparation, a time when the inner world of your thoughts and emotions is quietly being arranged for the future that lies ahead. Every day carries its own challenges, responsibilities, and decisions. Many people approach those moments with tired minds, heavy emotions, and scattered thoughts. They wake up already overwhelmed, already anxious about what the day may bring. But the night offers an opportunity to change that pattern. When your mind is surrounded by words that uplift, strengthen, and encourage you while you sleep, something remarkable begins to take place inside you. Your mind begins to prepare itself for tomorrow. While the body rests, the deeper parts of your mind begin organizing the experiences of the day that has passed. Memories are sorted, emotions are processed, and thoughts are arranged in ways that allow you to move forward with greater clarity. During this time, the messages that reach your mind can gently influence the direction of that process. Of peace calm the storms that may have built up during the day. Words of hope remind the mind that the future holds possibilities beyond the difficulties of the present. Words of determination strengthen the inner resolve that allows a person to keep moving forward even when life becomes challenging. These words begin to act like quiet instructions to the mind, guiding it toward a healthier emotional state and a stronger mental outlook. Inner peace is one of the first things that begins to grow through this process. Many people carry tension with them long after the day has ended. Worries about responsibilities, concerns about the future, and memories of difficult moments can continue to echo in the mind even when the body is lying still. But when calming and uplifting messages fill the atmosphere around you during sleep, the mind begins to release that tension. The breathing becomes deeper and slower. The muscles relax. The racing thoughts gradually lose their urgency. The mind recognizes that it is safe to let go of the weight it has been carrying. As this calm spreads through the body and mind, a deeper form of rest begins to take place. This peace is not just a temporary feeling, it becomes a foundation for the way you will approach the next day. A mind that has experienced true calm during the night wakes up with greater balance and stability. Instead of reacting to situations with stress or panic, it is able to respond with clarity and patience. Hope also begins to rise during these quiet hours. Throughout life, people face moments when their energy is drained and their optimism begins to fade. Difficult experiences can make it seem as though progress is impossible or that the future will simply repeat the struggles of the past. When those thoughts remain unchallenged, they can slowly weaken a person's motivation. But hope can be restored when the mind are. Repeatedly hears reminders that change is possible, that growth is always within reach, and that every new day carries opportunities that have not yet been discovered. As these messages settle into the deeper parts of your thinking, the mind begins to shift its expectations. Instead of assuming that tomorrow will bring only more difficulty, it begins to anticipate progress. Instead of focusing only on obstacles, it begins to recognize possibilities. This shift in expectation has a powerful effect on the way you approach life. When you believe that improvement is possible, you become more willing to take action. You become more open to learning new skills, exploring new ideas, and stepping outside of familiar limitations. Determination also grows stronger through this nightly preparation. The path toward meaningful goals is rarely smooth. There are moments of uncertainty, setbacks, and fatigue. Without inner determination, it is easy to become discouraged and give up. But when the mind is regularly reminded of strength, perseverance, and purpose, those qualities begin to take root. The deeper mind begins to view challenges not as signals to stop, but as invitations to grow stronger. While you sleep, the mind quietly reinforces this attitude. It begins to store messages that encourage persistence. It strengthens the belief that effort leads to progress and that temporary difficulties do not define the final outcome. When morning arrives, these internal preparations begin to reveal themselves. You may notice that your thoughts feel more organized and less chaotic. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by the day ahead, you feel a quiet readiness to begin. Your mind becomes more focused, able to concentrate on tasks without becoming easily distracted by worry. Motivation also begins to rise naturally. Motivation does not always come from external pressure or dramatic inspiration. Often it grows from the internal environment of the mind. When the deeper mind has been filled with encouragement and purpose during the night, it naturally pushes you to an action when the day begins. You may feel a stronger desire to take steps toward your goals. Tasks that once felt intimidating may now seem manageable. The energy that comes from renewed hope and strengthened determination begins to guide your actions throughout the day. Focus becomes clearer as well. When the mind has been allowed to rest in peace and absorb constructive messages, it is better able to direct attention toward what truly matters. Instead of being pulled in many different directions by stress or negative thinking, your thoughts become aligned with your priorities. This clarity allows you to approach challenges with greater effectiveness. Problems that once seemed overwhelming can be broken down into smaller steps. Decisions can be made with greater confidence because the mind is not clouded by fear or confusion. Courage also begins to develop through this process. Every day presents moments when you must step beyond comfort and face uncertainty. Whether it involves pursuing opportunities, speaking up for what you believe in, or simply continuing forward after a setback, courage plays an essential role in personal growth. When your mind is regularly exposed to messages that encourage bravery and resilience, those qualities become part of your internal identity. The deeper mind begins to expect that you will face challenges with strength rather than avoidance. As a result, when difficult situations arise, you may notice that you respond differently than before. Instead of immediately retreating from the challenge, you feel a quiet confidence urging you to move forward. The preparation that accord your behavior in moments that matter most. T. This nightly preparation also helps build consistency in your personal growth. Change rarely happens through a single moment of inspiration. It is usually the result of repeated influences that gradually shape the way a person thinks and acts. When your nights are consistently filled with messages of encouragement, peace, and determination, those messages begin to accumulate in your mind. Day by day, they reinforce the same values and attitudes. Over time, these repeated influences become part of your natural way of thinking. You begin to carry peace into stressful situations. You bring hope into moments of uncertainty. You approach challenges with determination instead of hesitation. The person you are becoming is shaped not only by what you do during the day, but also by what your mind receives while you rest. The night becomes more than just a period of physical recovery. It becomes a workshop where the foundations of tomorrow are being quietly built. Each evening offers another opportunity to strengthen the mindset that will guide you through the coming day. While the world sleeps and the body rests, the mind continues its silent preparation. It absorbs the words that surround it, reinforces the beliefs that are repeated, and urbanizes the thoughts that will influence your actions. The seeds planted during these quiet hours slowly grow into attitudes, decisions, and achievements. Morning eventually arrives, bringing with it a new set of opportunities and challenges. But the way you meet that morning is no longer accident. Your mind has already been prepared. Peace steadies your emotions. Hope brightens your outlook. Determination fuels your actions. And with each new day that begins this way, the path toward a stronger, more focused, and more purposeful life becomes clearer and more attainable.